Okay, warning. I am about to talk about real people on a reality show as if they were fictional characters for entertainment purposes. If you don't want to see that, then just keep scrolling. Anyway, I recently started watching Dance Moms, and all I can see when I watch it is the anti-hero archetype. Unlike the hero, a virtuous character who undergoes hardships and accomplishes their goal, the anti-hero is a character who, by all means, should be the hero, and yet for one reason or another, they are not. Maybe they don't accomplish their goal because they are too weak, maybe they are corrupt, maybe they have ulterior motives. I feel that the anti-hero is one of the most interesting and yet misunderstood and mishandled concepts in storytelling. Anyway, back to Dance Moms. The narrative structure of Dance Moms is that Abby is the villain, the girls are supporting characters, but the moms are the true protagonists. All of these mothers share the same two goals. One is to get their daughters famous, and two is to simply be a mother, to love and protect their daughter from hardships, which is usually Abby. Now, the second goal is a lot more virtuous, but every single mother on the show fails to achieve it because, quite simply, they want their daughter to be famous more than they want to protect her. Time and time again, the idea is reinforced that Abby is the key to fame. She makes stars, she has opportunities, she has connections. If you want to be famous, you're going to have to endure her abuse. Now, Christy is just one of the great examples of an anti-hero. A lot of fans of Dance Moms really love Christy, and when asked why, they'll say because Christy is the strong one. She's outspoken, she talks back to Abby, and she'll do anything to protect her daughter. Except that's not fucking true. Chloe, in particular, takes a fucking beating from Abby. In her interview segments, she always talks about how low her self-esteem is, how anxious she is, how terrible she feels about herself because of the way that Abby talks to her. And Christy does the heroic seeming action. She talks back to Abby, she stands up to the bully. And yet, the very next week, Chloe is right back where she started, in the lion's den getting yelled at by Abby. Christy as a character definitely does possess heroic traits. She is courageous, she is likable, she truly does love her daughter, but ultimately, her courage is outweighed by her own ulterior motives. If this were a story, the true heroic action would be to take your daughter out of the studio, sacrificing fame for what actually matters, her child's well-being and familial love. But Christy, time and time again, is unable to make that sacrifice. Time to talk about real people as if they were fictional characters. We're analyzing Dance Moms again. So I mentioned in my last video that in the structure of Dance Moms, the moms are really the main characters. And if you ask the average Dance Mom fans who their favorite character is, there's like a 100% chance that they are going to say Holly. So let's talk about Holly, not the real Holly, the show Holly, and go over why so many people love her. So Holly is wildly different from every other mom on the show, as in she actually has a job and a life and stuff going on. I think it's so fascinating that in a show that is entirely built around drama and women screaming at each other, Holly is the most quiet and reserved of all of them. And because of her very reasonable and reserved attitude, because the fact that she won't participate in these childish fights, she gets the least amount of screen time. So if she is the least exciting and gets the least amount of screen time, why do we love her so much? Because Holly is our fish out of water character. When you're introducing an audience to a completely new world that they will be very unfamiliar with, it's a good idea to have a fish out of water character. The fish out of water character can serve both as a guide for your audience being introduced to this bizarre new world, but they also serve as the straight man to a comedic scenario. See, the insane fights make up the majority of the screen time of Dance Moms, is what I've learned. And when a particularly insane fight is going on, all we see of Holly is her reacting to and observing the chaos around her. In fact, for most fans, their favorite part of every fight is the inevitable moment where the camera zooms in on Holly in the background and she's making some face like... Not only do these moments make her really funny and relatable as a character, but they also reinforce the lovable maternal side of her. While all the adults are screaming and swearing and making a scene, oftentimes Holly is the only one who seems to remember that there's like 12 children in the room with them. One of Holly's most famous quotes is, "Girls out of the room! Girls out of the room!" when a fight between two adult women became physical. In short, Holly is one of the only mothers on the show who actually acts like a mother. Okay, I'm moving, so I'm going through all of my stuff, and I've always had hoarder-like tendencies my whole life, and I'm trying to use this as an accountability moment. I was going through my nail polish and getting rid of the ones that I don't need anymore, and it's amazing how many of these I've held on to for so long and they're unusable. This one doesn't open. This one it's years old. I always convince myself that, like, oh, I'll find a use for it. I'll have some look that I need this for. This is unusable. A lot of these are unusable. They can't be opened, dried up. This one, I like the bottle shape, but I realize I have other cool shaped stuff. I don't need to just cling on to everything that is kind of interesting. I'm trying to use this as a growing moment. My journey of trying to stop myself from becoming a full-on hoarder has been very eye-opening in realizing how much actual garbage I've been holding on to, genuinely convinced that it was still useful to me. Like, my mantra this whole time has been, get fucking real. Like, this, it's empty. There's, like, not a drop of nail polish in it. I can't open it. There's nothing usable about this. I can't even, like, repurpose the bottle. Get fucking real. This is trash. I know this is nothing like my usual content, but I just wanted to use this as an accountability moment for next time I'm going through my old videos and I see this to remind myself, like, don't get to this point again. Don't let this happen again. My thing with throwing stuff away is that I always convince myself, what if I need this? What if I can find a use for this in the future? Won't I be kicking myself when I do need this and I'll have thrown it away? That has never happened to me once. Not once in my life have I thrown something away and then realized that I needed it later. Not once. I need to let go of this delusion that everything can be salvaged. Some things are just garbage. Like,
welcome, babies, to the Fruity Pebbles Castle of Torment, a scary castle with 100 rats.
We're in like a pack of sardines and we cannot escape, we cannot come out. Mama!
Guess what I have sitting in my backyard? A trampoline? Better. A boat? Better. A better. Well, what, Cartman? 33 aborted fetuses.
So I need to get to work soon, but I wanted an update on the doll. So this is how she's gonna be displayed in my dining room area. So I can look at her every time I eat on this fancy pedestal. I'm gonna be repainting that. I've discovered she is a soft expressions doll. Peep the certificate of authenticity. That is really what sealed the deal for me. Nothing but the finest for my new apartment. As far as I know, she does not have a name, so I'm going to be naming her. She's not just a decoration, she is a respected guest in my home. If you have any ideas for a name that would suit her, please let me know. Welcome back to talking about real people as if they were fictional characters, part whatever. We're back on Dance Moms. So I've talked before about how Abby is the primary villain of the show, but there is a secondary villain. That's right, baby, we're talking about Kathy Candy Apple today. As far as what character archetype Kathy fits into, I don't know if there's another name for this trope, but I like to refer to her as the non-threatening villain. Non-threatening doesn't mean non-important. She takes up a decent amount of screen time. She has a really strong presence. Even when she's not there, you always know that she's gonna pop up at the most inopportune times. And more so, she's non-threatening just because she's fucking goofy, you know? It's clear from the editing of the show that she's not meant to be taken seriously. Like, every time they cut over to her studio, they play, like, the sounds of cows mooing to show how small town hick she is. I think the character that reminds me the most of Kathy in Dance Moms is really Dr. Doofenshmirtz. Like, yeah, he's the bad guy, but he's not any real threat, and you know that in every episode. And, like, even though they do play up the rivalry between the Candy Apples and the ALDC, watching the show, you know that in the end, Abby is gonna win. She just does have the better team. And yeah, Kathy does get a few wins in on Abby, but it's never anything significant to actually, like, make you sweat, you know? Just like Dr. Doofenshmirtz, Kathy is more of an inconvenience than any real threat. One more weird similarity between Kathy and Dr. Doofenshmirtz is that they both have daughters who are hilariously uninterested in what their parents do. Like, Vivienne only dances in season 1, and the whole time she's reminding you about how much she doesn't care about this shit. And Dr. Doofenshmirtz has his teenage daughter Vanessa, who is completely embarrassed of her father and wants nothing to do with his schemes and innators. So yeah, while Kathy never actually poses a real threat to impact the storyline of Dance Moms, the show would simply not be the same without her. I'm gonna be honest, I'd rather just look like an old bitch. I was just sitting here, relaxing and enjoying my dinner of plain white rice in my new apartment when I looked at the ceiling and I said, I didn't put that speck up there. And I realized, well, if it isn't my first roommate. Little spidery bitch on my ceiling. Oh my fucking god, it's not a spider, it's a fly. There's a fucking fly. Ugh! Update, I killed that bitch. Look, first fucking try too. I got that bitch on the first fucking try. Like, a spider, for me, is one thing, because just spiders are gonna show up in your place of living one way or another. But a fly? That is a symbol of filth and dirtiness. If you are my employer and you see this, no you did not. Keep scrolling. Everyone else, stick around. I have something very important to say. Dude, forget fucking the green M&M. Everyone wants to fuck the green M&M. I want to fuck the orange M&M. That pretzel-filled bitch. He's so anxious all the time. All the other M&Ms are always so mean to him. I'd treat him right. I have a question about Dance Moms, or more specifically a question about, like, the competitive dance world in general. One of Abby's favorite things to do is randomly have dance routines about very serious subject matter mixed in with the rest of her numbers. Like, they'll do some cute summery pop routine about having fun at the beach in the summer sun, and then they'll do one about, like, children getting abducted and killing themselves or something, you know? Like, it's just always very out of place and always very poorly handled. And that's not even getting into all the times that Abby forces the girls to portray real world historical figures, like real people, like Rosa Parks and Helen Keller. And of course, who can forget Anne Frank? And it just never stops being the most tasteless, cringeworthy thing I've ever seen every time they try to tackle some serious subject like that. And the whole time watching the show, I've just assumed that this is a unique thing to Abby. Abby's kind of fucking nuts, and so only she would want to take on a topic like racism or teenage runaways through, like, a hip-hop number, you know? But then there's one episode, and I'm so mad, I can't find the episode, I forgot which one it was, where the group dance comes in second, and they're all like, oh, so disappointed, we worked so hard, this is such a letdown. And they completely brush over the fact that the group that won first, their number was titled Schindler's List. So, like, every studio does shit like that? So now I have about 1 million more unanswered questions. Like, who is the studio that did the Schindler's List number? Are they, like, a Jewish studio, or are they a studio like Abby's where they just tackle any serious subject matter they can? And what did the Schindler's List dance look like? Were they doing backflips? But also, all these serious numbers always end up winning first place. And so now I'm, like, gaslighting myself about, like, well, are they tasteless? Maybe they're not actually tasteless. Maybe I'm just heartless. Maybe this was really respectful. But I know that they're not. I know this is fucked up, man. Everybody's so creative.
Meghan Markle apparently cried when she watched an episode of South Park.
Was it the one where Stan's grandpa gets addicted to buying jewelry on the Home Shopping Network, and he tells Stan about how he used to have a dog named Patches, and when Patches died, he didn't feel sad about it because he knew he'd at least always have the happy memories of him and Patches together, and then he tells Stan that he can't remember what Patches looked like? Because I'm not gonna lie, that shit gets to me too. Welcome back to talking about real people and situations as if they were fictional. Let's talk about how Dance Moms has a fantastic example of both foreshadowing and a red herring. I've talked before about how in the narrative structure of Dance Moms, the moms are the main characters, the girls are the supporting cast, and Abby is the main villain. And like any good story with a villain, the audience is on the edge of their seats wanting to see that villain defeated. And the villain does go down in the end, but not in the way the audience was expecting. In storytelling, a red herring is used to subvert the audience's expectations. It's basically a very compelling clue that ends up leading nowhere. In this way, the storyline about Paige suing Abby is kind of a red herring. It's such an obvious and satisfying storytelling arc. The past scorned student who has endured so much abuse from Abby is the one that takes her down. And while the lawsuit added a lot of drama to the show and definitely made Abby's life harder, we know that it ended up settling out of court. The lawsuit isn't the thing that took her down, so what did? In the end, the thing that actually got her arrested was that she had been committing fucking fraud the whole time. Turns out she had been illegally fucking around with funds for years. And while the audience might be saying, wow, what an unexpected twist, I didn't see that coming, there is actually a moment in an earlier season that foreshadows this fate. That's the moment in season fucking whatever when Abby is looking for something in her purse and she decides to dump it on the floor to rummage through it. And the contents of her purse show an unusually human side to Abby Lee Miller, as it looks like, what the inside of your pockets look like. It's full of jewelry, candy, wrappers, receipts, and money. This was surprising to me because I just assumed that someone who flaunts wealth like Abby Lee Miller would never be caught with cash. I thought she just always used credit cards for everything. The fact that her Prada purse is stuffed with these crumpled singles communicates a lot to us as the audience. It tells us that Abby Lee Miller, 1, has money, and 2, is sloppy with her money. And yes, in fact, she was sloppy with that money. And I know Abby got out of prison and the show didn't end with her getting arrested, but this was definitely a turning point that Abby never really came back from. Abby getting arrested like a petty thief showed her losing her facade of power and control, and that's what killed the villain. The Human Centipede trilogy takes place in not 1, not 2, but 3 separate cinematic universes. No, don't scroll, listen to me! You see, the first Human Centipede movie is a pretty standard cinematic universe, where we are presented with the events of this film as the reality of this world. But then, Human Centipede 2 opens with a character watching the first Human Centipede, meaning that we are now in a new universe where the events of the last movie were fiction, but the events of this movie are reality. And this meta shit goes really deep, where they even have one of the actors from the first movie appear playing herself as the actor from the first movie. And then the Human Centipede 3 does the same thing over again, where the characters watch the first 2 Human Centipede movies. And this meta shit continues, where the director of all 3 movies does a cameo playing himself, the director of the Human Centipede movies. I mean, say what you want about the quality of these films, but I challenge you to find a form of storytelling more fucking complicated than this. Guys, I have devastating news, and I don't know how to brace you for it, so I'm just gonna rip the band-aid off. I accidentally put kiwi through the wash. He's all soggy now. Oh my god. I didn't fucking mean for this to happen. I was just scooping up clothes to be washed, and he got caught up in the carnage. It's gonna be okay. We're gonna dry you out. We're gonna get through this. Since it's Passover, I'm going to talk about my favorite aspect of the 10 plagues that Moses wrought upon the Egyptians. So from the jump, we're told that this story is going to be about 10 plagues, and the last one is the worst. Death of the firstborn. It's hard to top that. So you might assume that the plagues are going to start kind of bad and then just increase in their severity as time goes on. But that's not the fucking case at all. Maybe this is just me, but the first plague is, objectively the scariest. Water turns into blood? Water turns into human blood? Moses really opened with his strongest hand, and it still didn't work. If I were the Pharaoh and I saw that shit with my own eyes, I'd chicken out right then. Like, you're not hearing me. Water turning into human blood. You can't bathe, you can't cook, you can't drink, you can't wash anything. So then, by the time Death of the Firstborn comes around and they're all shocked that Moses actually went through with it, it's like, how is this surprising at all? This is the guy who turned water into blood.
Where's Rick?
I'm
Don't care. No! 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 No!
Let the light in. Let your back door yelling 'cause I wanna come in.
Enough. Back with another milk. Help! Help! Help me!
Okay, have you always been that way?
Yeah, I grew up Mormon.
Mormon!
With the way that
Put a pin
But
in
if you
that.
want to talk about things that are stressful,
No, I don't. I want to talk about Taylor Swift.
okay.
I came here to talk about Taylor Swift.
Okay.
And
I have never seen an episode of Vanderpump Rules in my entire life, but for some reason it's all over my feed because a big scandal just happened on the show. I don't have a hot take about the scandal because, like I said, I've never seen an episode of it. But my Vanderpump Rules hot take is that the entire cast has names that sound like they were made up for a bad young adult novel. Here are just some of the actual names of people on this show. Stassi, Jax Taylor, Sandoval, Lala, Raquel, Vale Bloom, Bo Clark, Max Boyens. Like, you know, one of those, like, dystopian novels where no one can have a regular name. They all have to have some, like, cool futuristic name. I mean, just the name Vanderpump alone sounds like it was made up. Like, you could imagine someone at the Capitol in the Hunger Games being named Vanderpump, right? Also, is someone named Miami Girl on the show? Like, or is that her name that she goes by? Or is that just, like, a nickname that everyone calls her? Or am I just completely off base there? Someone explain.
Vamos, mis amores, dale, mis amores. Vamos, mis amores, dale. Esa es la vecina que fue.
What the hell we gonna do now?
Some of the lamest discourse I'm seeing around this submersible situation is people saying, like, how dare you find this situation entertaining at all? What if it was you on the submarine? What if it was you dying and everyone making memes about the situation that caused your death? Like, my brother in Christ, if I end up dying in a way, and this is not just a joke for the TikTok, I'm saying this seriously. If I ever end up dying under circumstances this ridiculous, please make fun of it. I'm giving everyone permission. If I die under wacky circumstances, you're allowed to make fun of the wacky circumstances. You're allowed to make jokes about my death, okay? And especially if I brought the wacky situation that caused my death upon myself, if it was like my own doing that got me killed, please make fun of that too. That's even funnier. In my opinion, in my worldview, it is just human nature to find comedy within tragedy. And so you can either be upset about that and kick and scream, or you can laugh along.
I'm out of town! Thinking about...
I have not seen the movie yet, but here are my predictions for Army of the Doomstar. I just fucking know William's gonna die. I know his ass is not leaving this movie alive. There has been so much foreshadowing up until this point that he is getting more and more distanced from the rest of the group. Either he's gonna die or something else, like, earth-shatteringly horrifying is going to happen to him. And then he's gonna come out as gay. Toki and Squizgar are going to kiss on the mouth and have sex. I think Nathan is gonna go through hell in general, but I think one of the things that is gonna hurt him is that Abigail is gonna break up with him for real. And that's what's gonna trigger his "I'm breaking up with you" speech in that trailer. I think General Crozier is going to take one final stand, one Hail Mary attempt to stop Salacia, and then Salacia is going to kiss him on the mouth. I think we're gonna get some fucking heartbreaking moment with Jean-Fru, again, probably talking about his dead brother because Brendan Small likes to ruin my day. I think we're gonna get another just fucking show-stopping, cunt-serving solo from the Metal Masked Assassin. I don't know if I'm predicting this or if I'm just really hoping for this. And last but not least, I think this one's a little obvious, but I think Dick Nubler is going to reveal that he and Murderface have had an off-screen gay relationship, going all the way back to season 1.
Ricky, when I catch you, 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 Ricky.
If I were in the movie climax and I drank that sangria that had been, like, spiked with acid, I would not have made such a big deal of it as the people in that movie did. Like, I would have been mad, you know? I'd be like, are you kidding me? But then I'd just thug that shit out. I am so hypnotized by Brianna Mazzola's performance here. The direction, the acting, her vocals, ooh. Just the little details, like when the trolls knock her down and actually start to get the upper hand, her voice cracks. And it continues cracking for the remainder of the song, where we haven't heard that at any point in the movie thus far. The true desperation she's able to convey with the line, "If at the top's where we want to stay," you can tell how badly Velvet wants this, even though her motivations are superficial. Like, she's a brat, she doesn't want to work, she just wants to be famous and rich, you know, whatever. Her feelings about being famous and rich are not superficial. She needs it. Velvet is a compelling villain because she has something to lose, and she genuinely, deeply fears losing it. Even if her goal is superficial, her feelings are not, and Brianna Mazzola's performance sells it so perfectly. Velvet is like one of the most extreme villains I've seen in recent memory. The things she does in this movie are like beyond reprehensible. It's like disturbing to watch at times, and yet we as the audience are never like confused as to why she's going so far with her cruel actions. Velvet is actually kind of a great example of how to write an insane character or an insane villain. Like, it can't just be that they do, oh my gosh, crazy, extreme stuff. It's that there is simply no reasoning with her. There is not a single point in the movie where anyone can talk her out of doing what she's doing because she wants it that bad. I have never once given a shit about the Trolls franchise. Not once, until I saw Velvet's performance. Ooh. I know that this will never ever happen because the universe doesn't like me to be happy, but the new Wonka movie, in my perfect fantasy world, like 80% of the runtime would be dedicated to discussing the logistics of the Oompa Loompas. Julia, that's ridiculous. Even Roald Dahl didn't put that much thought into the Oompa Loompas. Yeah, well, I did. So here is just a speed run of questions that I would like to see Timothée Chalamet forced to answer in the new Wonka movie. Number 1, are the Oompa Loompas slaves? Did Willy Wonka enslave an entire race of people? And if they're not slaves, how are they not slaves? They are doing labor and they're not receiving any monetary pay. Oh, but Julia, the Oompa Loompas, they don't get paid in money, they get paid in chocolate. They really like chocolate, and so they're happy to work just for chocolate. Yeah, that's the fucked up part. At least in the recent remake of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, it's established that the Oompa Loompas don't just like chocolate, they worship it. It's like, it's sacred to them. It's like a religious thing for them. Willy Wonka is holding their, like, sacred items over their head, forcing them to work for it. What the fuck? Oh, but the Oompa Loompas seem to be happy working for Mr. Wonka. I'm not asking if they're happy working for him. I'm asking, do they have free will? Are they aware that they can leave at any time? Are they able to leave at any time? What if one of them wants to go back to their homeland? Is Mr. Wonka gonna let that happen? Is he gonna get them a plane ticket so that they can return home? Fuck no! They're his property! Here's just a speed run of other Oompa Loompa logistical questions I have. What do their living quarters look like? Do each of the Oompa Loompas get their own bed? Do they get their own room? Are they able to share rooms? Like, are they allowed to have family space? If one of them has children, do they get to, like, live in a larger space so that they can live with their children and raise their children? Number 2, are they allowed to have children? Number 3, what are they eating? They're not just eating chocolate, Mr. Wonka. What else are you giving them for sustenance to get them through the day? Number 4, have any of them seen the sky before? How many generations have these Oompa Loompas been living inside this factory? Have any of them seen the sky before? I have no hope of any of my questions getting addressed or answered by Mr. Chalamet in the upcoming movie because he is a cowardly bitch who doesn't like to rock the boat and doesn't want to encourage free thought amongst Oompa Loompa advocates like myself. And I'm not even going to get into the original illustrations of the Oompa Loompas. Oh my fucking god. Good question. I'm very glad you asked this. I have heard this argument before that, like, what if the Oompa Loompas aren't human? And so they, like, don't need the same things that we need as humans because, you know, they're, like, they have orange skin and green hair and they're, like, mysterious or whatever. And it's good to question things and look for answers outside of the box. However, here is my evidence for the argument that the Oompa Loompas are human beings. I first must ask, what suggests that the Oompa Loompas are not human? Like, yes, they have what we consider to be an unnatural hair color and skin color. Aside from that, they look like humans. They are conscious and sentient. They have communities. They communicate verbally. They speak English, for fuck's sake. Every characteristic of the Oompa Loompas suggests that they are human. And it's like, what, they're short? Short people exist. And, like, even if you went full scientist and looked at their DNA splicings and were able to determine that, okay, the Oompa Loompas are not exactly Homo sapien, they are not human beings. My point is, they are human enough they are close enough to humans. Even if they are not exactly human, the similarities are so overwhelming. I don't see any reason to class them as another species. And to address their behavioral differences, the fact that they act mysterious and weird, they seem to like, they have the same kind of magical supernatural tinge that Willy Wonka himself has. When we meet the Oompa Loompas, they have been living in Willy Wonka's factory for who fucking knows how long. How many of the Oompa Loompas that we see in the movie were born there? This is the only world they know. The only authority figure they've ever known is the weirdest fucking guy in the world. He is raising them. He is setting the standard for the way that they act. I also heard some people asking, like, why are the Oompa Loompas so okay with the, like, child death or the child endangerment that's going on in the chocolate factory? Like, why are they seemingly, like, eager and excited about all this? First of all, look at who their authority figure is, again. And second of all, think about the fact that canonically, Willy Wonka, look at how bad I fucked that up. Canonically, Willy Wonka uses the Oompa Loompas as test subjects for his experiments, for his candy that turns you into, like, the blueberry shit. He specifically says, like, every Oompa Loompa we've tested this on and it's had this reaction. You've turned countless Oompa Loompas into blueberries? Cruelty and apathy have become the norm for the Oompa Loompas. They live under Willy Wonka's beck and call. Like, they are his test subjects. So when they see him doing insane shit to other people, of course they're not gonna react. This is normal for them. So yes, thank you for asking this question. Always stay curious and demanding answers in the pursuit of Oompa Loompa liberation. Thank you. Another very good question. Thank you for asking. What am I using as my canon to come up with my Oompa Loompa opinions? I use a combination of each version of the Oompa Loompas, from the books, the source material, to both versions of the movie when the new Wonka movie comes out, and I get my new Oompa information from that. I'm gonna have to update everything. But there is a surprising amount of consistency in the Oompa Loompa lore across the different versions of the story, which means that I don't have to work very hard most of the time. But when there is contradictory information between two versions, I take both of them into account, and I just kind of Occam's razor my way into determining what is most realistic to be the canon. For example, if I had only ever seen the Gene Wilder version, I might come to the conclusion that all Oompa Loompas are male, because we only see male Oompa Loompas in this film. However, this is contradicted by both the original source material, the books, and the newer remake. In the books, they specifically say that there are female Oompa Loompas working in the factory. They also say there's child Oompa Loompas in there, which makes me even more upset. And also in the remake, I swear to God, we see female Oompa Loompas for like a second. I cannot for the life of me find a picture of it though. Please believe me, it came to me in a dream. Oh shit, wait, I found it. It's Doris. It's Doris, the office Oompa Loompa. Yes!
Wait, I'm supposed to put my life into your hands? Look,
Hey,
man,
leave your ego out of it.
We're in some excuse me, we're in some serious hot water here because of you and your bossiness, all right?
Stop acting
Come on.
such a bitch.
So you're gonna leave me here?
We cannot have you around us screwing things up.
Some child is outside enjoying their life, playing with toys and smiling in the sunshine and having fun. I hate happiness. I hate happy children. Anyway, you're all losers. We've discussed this before. I'm the king of the world.
If you were to introduce someone into our family, who would you warn them about?
My name is Kevin, and I'll warn them about Topher.
Y'all already know who I am. My name's Topher, and I think Olivia.
My name is Olivia, and I would warn them about Topher.
Wait,
Hello, daddies,
don't you see?
daddies, hello.
Look what you did. You created life.
Hello, what's up?
Yeah, 360. When you're in the mirror, do you know what you see? When you're in the mirror, you're just looking at me. I'm everywhere, I'm so Julia. When you're in the party, bumping that beat. 666 with the princess streak. I'm everywhere, I'm so Julia. I'm just living that life. Bondage, car, classic, but it's still pop. I get money, you get mad because the bank's shut. Yeah, I know.
A boy would be the son of France, but you, Marie-Therese, shall be mine.
It's tactless, it's a test, it's just a rest, it's just a rest.
Here are some secret, sneaky details from the They Not Like Us music video that you might have missed. So Kendrick has rightfully gotten a lot of criticism for sucking so bad at hopscotch and blatantly breaking the rules of the game. But what if I told you that the way that he is walking on the hopscotch board was actually intentional? There's multiple references to mustard in this song, and that's not just because it's Kendrick Lamar's favorite sauce. It's because this guy is actually named DJ Mustard, and he made the song. So, more you know. A lot of people are wearing the colors red and blue in this video, and that's not just because of the 4th of July. It's because there's these two secret clubs called the Bloods and the Crips, and they each have a favorite color that they always... Fans have been baffled, wondering who are these three people that Kendrick Lamar dances with towards the end of the music video. Well, what if I told you? Contrary to popular belief, the clown didn't appear in the video simply because the circus was in town. This guy is a very special clown. Many people are wondering, why do owls appear multiple times in the music video? Well, what if I told you that it's not because Kendrick Lamar just hates owls? It's because this song was actually aimed at another rapper named Drake. Comrades, I come to you in my hour of need. There is a book I read when I was younger, and I know it existed, but I can't find the name of it. And before you tell me, post it on the tip of my tongue, Reddit, I already did, and my post got taken down by the moderators. Why? The government doesn't want me to find this book. I'm being gang stalked by the CIA for real. It was a children's book. It was like an illustrated children's book, and its title was something like The Shadow Thief, The Shadow Stealer, The Shadow Taker, or something like that. And I know that there's another book called The Shadow Thief. Trust me, I've hit that dead end several times. It starts with this boy, and I think he had like a dog sidekick, and the story is quite literally that one day this boy just realizes that he doesn't have a shadow anymore. Like, it's not there. And understandably, he's none too pleased about this, and so he's like, we gotta get my shadow back. They end up finding out that there is this villainous ass man, like I'm talking stereotypical top hat, cloak, twirling mustache villain who's called the Shadow Stealer or the Shadow Thief or the Shadow Taker or something. And literally his whole thing is that he steals people's shadows and then sews them together and then uses the like this wall of shadows to hide in so that he can like steal things and pickpocket people. That's his business plan. This book obviously made quite an impact on me if I'm still thinking about it all these years later. The main thing I remember, besides the mustache twirling villain himself, was the shadow wall that he made. All the shadows individually were still the shape of the person they were a shadow of. So it was a bunch of like human body shaped gray masses sewn together, and it like kind of, I feel like it was illustrated in a way that it looked like the shadows themselves were wiggling and moving, like trying to escape. Dude, the book ultimately ends with the boy and his dog like either overpowering or outsmarting the shadow thief, and they get their shadows back and all is well. But I don't know why this book is so hard for me to find. I know it existed. I'm not fucking crazy. And again, I did make a post about this on the Tip of My Tongue subreddit, and my post basically said just what I said in this video describing what I remember about the book. And I checked back a few hours later and my post had been removed by moderators, so I don't know. I still don't know why. I mean, could it be that the mods of this subreddit are shadow thieves themselves? No, that's ridiculous. And I have been searching for this book for years. For years, I have been Googling incoherent messes like book about man who steals shadows, book about shadow pickpocketer, you know? So please, if any of the details that I talked about sound familiar to you, or you remember reading a book like this and you have an idea about what the title might have been, please, any breadcrumbs. I'm begging for anything. I'm desperate here.
Well, you can tell everybody. Yeah, you can tell everybody. Go ahead and tell everybody.
Okay, plant experts, cactus experts, if any of you have any advice, please, I need your help so bad. This just happened. I was moving my pot of cactuses and I dropped it, and one of them that I've had for years broke. It just broke off. This thing was like 2 inches when I first got it. It's grown so well and now it's all ruined. My other cactuses in the pot seem pretty unharmed. I'm gonna check them more thoroughly later, but right now I'm devastated by this. I'm just asking, I'm begging for advice. Is there anything that can be done to save this? Is there any, both of the parts are intact. This is the first damage that's ever come to this cactus. Is there anything that I could do to salvage this, or is it just game over and I should throw it away? I don't want to throw it away so bad, man. Any and all advice is greatly and desperately appreciated. I'm just gonna start cleaning up this like shattered mess now. No, Jonathan Davis of the band Korn, you can't reclaim the F slur. You're not gay. I'm not reclaiming it. I'm using it as a slur. Oh, what the fuck? Hey, so I just wanted to address something really quick. Pretty recently, a bunch of new people have found my account and found out that I'm the person who made Daisy Brown, and so a lot of my comment sections are kind of getting swarmed with people asking questions about Daisy Brown or saying like, where's Alan? First of all, you're in luck. I have a video on my YouTube channel, which is linked in my bio, answering a lot of questions about Daisy Brown, so if you really want to know, you can look there. But I also want to address that this volume of comments like this is making me uncomfortable. I need you guys to remember that I'm not Daisy Brown, I'm Julia. I'm a person. This is my personal account. This isn't an ARG. When I post a personal video that was just like being funny or something, and the comment section is full of people saying like, we don't care, show Alan, that makes me not want to post at all, really. When you guys treat me like an individual and treat me with respect, it really means the world to me, so thank you.